Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donahue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. We are the podcast that talks about creeps from the past and the present. I am Sonia Mansfield, and I am joined by my podcasting sister from another mister, Margot Donahue. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. I am in recovery from not COVID, but something that's trying to kill my throat.
Yes, she's got a really disturbed throat today, so we're doing a little reverse here, and it's just going to throw me off my game. Bear with me, y'all. Like I said, we talk about creeps of the past and the present. I should warn you that we use a lot of salty language. I'm going to say that right off the top. Salty language. Fuck yeah. So much salty language. And this one is particularly gross. So just FYI, if you want to learn more about our show, go to whatacreeppodcast.com. There's everything you ever wanted to know about our show, but we're afraid to ask. It includes a link to our merch shop where you can get t-shirts and tote bags and journals and all the things. There's a link to our Patreon page where we put out 2 bonus episodes a week or a month. Sorry, not a week. Not a week. That's too much. A month.
Don't make me laugh. I'll cough again.
We're just a little bit more loosey-goosey. They tend to be cocktail-infused. We talk about creeps in the news and sometimes what we're watching, reading, or listening to. It's really fun. We send out a newsletter every month that gives you sneak peeks of episodes that are coming and just sometimes updates on past creeps. And it is super fun. What else?
Well, if you can leave us a review in iTunes, that would be amazing. And I want to thank the following people who left us 5-star reviews. They are Picture of Fappin' Up. I'm going to crack up, and I'm going to clack up and crack up. Cart 1082. We cheer them up. And the last one was Caitlin 2011. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. It really helps offset the 1-star reviews. There's a podcast that called Too Many Jennifers, and one of the women talked about Billy Jensen and the bullshit she went through with him.
Yes.
You can just type in Billy Jensen and look that stuff up, but they went from 5-star reviews to like 1.8 or something because a bunch of people. So
yes,
it's really helpful for y'all. Even if you just hit the 5-star thing, you don't even have to leave a review.
Yes,
that'd be amazing. And I want to thank Dawn and Emily for joining us on Patreon.
Thank you.
And I want to thank the makers of the tea Throat Coat.
You said throat coat.
And my friend Margot P, who got me the Nakatomi Corporation Christmas party mug.
Nice.
That I am drinking out of. So it's throat coat, hot water, making a tea, and some honey, and that seems to be helping me.
Yes. So let's all send our healing vibes to Margot. And once again, and also sorry for the delay on the episode with everything that was happening last week with Roe v. Wade and all the Supreme Court rulings. We were just in no space to get through this episode without shouting, and that's just no good for Margot's voice. So, hence the delay. We apologize, but we have to take care of ourselves too.
Right.
So.
And if this is your first time listening, it's a little bit different that Sonia's leading today. What we do normally is we pick one creep. One of us picks the creep. And then we always end the show with someone who's not a creep. So at least you leave a little bit more hopeful. I will tell you our non-creep today after Sonia delivers our creep.
Yes. So are you ready to hear about Terry Richardson?
Oh, I'm sure this is going to give me apoplexy, but let's do it.
Yeah. Very creepy creep. You know, we take requests like, you know, in our group and that's what I need to mention. You could go to our What a Creep Facebook group. It is a private group. Answer a few questions and we will let you in. And if you follow the rules of engagement, we won't kick you out. We do not allow creepy behavior in the group. So behave yourself.
Also, we're on Twitter at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep for 10 years and never used it, Sonia.
Creep!
And we're also on Instagram, What a Creep Podcast.
Podcast.
Before I hit the mute button. Thank you.
Yes, I am sorry, everybody, new to the intro. We take requests in our group, and Terry Richardson has been requested a lot throughout our season, so we're going to get into it. And here's some trigger warnings, y'all. There's a lot of sexual assault, a lot, and a lot of talk about Terry Richardson's dick. So if you don't like dick talk, this episode may not be for you. Dick talk, the porn version of TikTok. Marco had to mute herself. Sources for this episode are Artnet, The Cut, Gawker, The Guardian, Hollywood Reporter, Jezebel, Marie Claire, New Statesman. I did a ton here. The New York Post, The Observer, Salon, Teen Vogue, Telegraph, and of course, Wikipedia. Where would we be without Wikipedia?
In hell.
In hell. Terry Richardson is a fashion photographer. He's worked for H&M, Gucci, Jimmy Choo, Marc Jacobs, Tom Ford. He's done work for magazines such as Rolling Stone, GQ, Vogue, Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, and Vice. He's directed music videos for Miley Cyrus and Beyonce. His photos that don't involve celebrities are very, I would describe them, American Apparel style. They are young, unknown models. It tends to blur the lines between pornography and fashion advertising. It makes you feel dirty for looking at it.
That's the point.
They're not, not my fave. Terry Richardson famously said, "It's not who you know, it's who you blow. I don't have a hole in my jeans for nothing."
Oh, fuck.
And he also said, "I was a shy kid, and now I'm this powerful guy with a boner dominating all these girls." So he sucks. It should be no surprise to anyone that he's a super creep. He's been accused many, many times of sexual assault, sexual misconducts, and coercion. And he was well known to be a super creep for years before anybody did anything about it.
He's super creepy.
He's super creepy, yeah. So let's get into it. We're going to start at the beginning. Terrence Richardson was born August 14th, 1965 in New York City. His mother was a stylist and an actress named Norma Kessler. And his father was Bob Richardson. He was a very popular fashion photographer in the 60s and 70s. Also a bipolar schizophrenic. The couple had a rocky marriage that definitely wasn't helped when they started swinging. No shame here. Swinging maybe works for other people. It did not work for the Richardsons. When Bob was 43, he left his wife for then 17-year-old Angelica Houston.
What?
Yes. Angelica Houston later said that Bob Richardson was so abusive, she tried to commit suicide.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Terry was 5 years old at this point.
Holy shit, you blew my mind.
Bob Richardson sucks too, FYI. Because Bob traveled so much for photo shoots, Terry lived with his mother, and they moved around a lot. So they lived in Sausalito, California. That's very close to here. They were in England for a while. They lived in Woodstock, New York. They went to a Hollywood apartment for a while. When he was 9, his mother was in a car accident that was quite serious. She was comatose for a week. She had a really tough recovery. She suffered brain damage. And Richardson would later say, "It made me very attracted to dysfunctional, fucked up people."
Oh, man.
Terry Richardson dropped out of school in the 10th grade, and by 18, he was a heroin addict.
Wow.
This guy's had a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma.
Yes, he played bass guitar in a series of punk bands, and I love punk band names. So we have The Invisible Government, Signal Street Alcoholics, Doggy Style,
classic,
Baby Fist.
I'm sorry.
and middle finger.
Baby fist?
I love baby fist.
I kind of like that, I have to say.
It is one of my favorite jokes to be like, that's my new band name whenever you hear something funny. So
my favorite,
I'm here. Yes.
My favorite punk band name was Eve's Plum, but I think Baby Fist is now number one.
I used to joke about starting a punk band called Cock Punch. And it had a picture of like somebody like holding a chicken by a neck and then like a punch, like someone's punching the chicken. Cock Punch. I didn't really want to be in the band. I just wanted the shirt is really what it was.
I wanted the merch.
I just wanted the merch. So after his stint in Baby Fist and Middle Finger, he began working with his father on photo shoots, and then eventually he struck out on his own. He won an ad campaign for the British designer Catherine Hamnet. He said that he sent, this is a quote, "I sent a bunch of personal pictures, people with their dicks out and all that, and 3 days later they called me and said I had the campaign."
Is that all it takes?
I guess so. So after that, his career really takes off, and that's when he's featured in Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, GQ, Sports Illustrated. He starts working for Gucci, Levi's, H&M, Chloe, Marc Jacobs. He also started doing a lot of stuff on the art scene. His first show was called These Colors Don't Run, debuted in 1998, and some of the highlights, I guess art doesn't connect to me because it's a 4 foot by 6 foot portrait of Richardson with semen all over his face and a 12 by 30 foot photo of a toothbrush inserted in his ass. Dude, that's not how you brush your teeth. You're doing it wrong. There's an easier way, man. You just put it right in the mouth. You just put it right in the...
Somebody collects x-rays of shit like that, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Honestly, it seems to me like Terry Richardson should have been on Jackass. Like, he might have been real good. Just saying. Yeah. So, in 1996, Richardson married model Nikki Uberti, I think is how you pronounce it. When she was diagnosed with cancer, he left her for model Shalom Harlow, yes. It's very Newt Gingrich of him.
Yeah. What a
yeah.
shithead.
That is not a fan. That's fucking creep. So here comes a list. It's a lot of sexual assault, y'all. So if you're not, just take care of yourselves. Starting in 2001, Richardson was accused of multiple times of using his influence in the fashion industry to exploit his models during photo shoots. He coerced them into sexual acts with him, and celebrities, fashion industry types, they continued to work with him and support him. One of the first ones I found was model Leshkula Cohen. And she walked out of a 2002 Vogue photo shoot after Richardson asked her to pose completely naked and pretend to give one of the men a blowjob on the set.
Fuck's sake.
All the men were also naked. She says that these men were not models or actors. They were just Richardson's friends. So she was like, peace out. So she leaves. She was replaced with another model. She did not wish to be named, but she said that he took pictures of himself like coming on her face. And when she went to the bathroom to clean up, she could hear him and his assistant like joking about it and making fun of her.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, it's fucking gross. This dude is gross. Max is growling. He's horrified. Yeah. Richardson assaulted model Anna DiGazio while on a photo shoot. She said that he kept pressing his semi-hard penis into her face while he photographed her. She left the photo shoot. She refused an offer to return. He's like, you want to come back for more? And she's like, hard pass. And Richardson was so disappointed because he thought she was going to be his new muse. That's what he was saying. No, dude, she doesn't want your fucking flaccid penis all over her face. Dude is gross. He's gross. In 2003, model Karen Bernstein said that during a photo shoot, Richardson's positioned her in a chair, started taking photos of her, and then he exposed his penis and forced himself into her mouth. After the incident, he ejaculated on her chest and took photos of it. We have to expose the creeps here. In 2005, model Gabriella Johansson, she sued him for fraud, misappropriation, invasion of privacy, breach of contract, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. She said she was pressured into taking naked photos, and when she refused, she was fired. And he settled. This was 2005, so people knew this was the thing. Like, some of these earlier ones and some of the ones we're going to talk about after this, they didn't speak out publicly, but it was like well known in the circles.
Right.
You know
who the creeps are.
Yeah. And that's kind of what Me Too was about, was a lot of these women finally saying out loud what we've been telling each other for years, which is this court case. It's public knowledge. People know, but a lot of these models are new. They don't feel they're empowered to say no to these things. So he settles his lawsuit and moves on to the next thing. Model Lindsay Jones said that during a photo shoot, Richardson told her to get on her knees. He shoved his penis in her face, and then he masturbated and ejaculated. In 2009, she was this model, Senna Ketch, she was 19, was asked by Richard's assistant to give him a violent hand job. I don't know what a violent hand job looks like, but it sounds terrible.
With a baby fist?
I guess, with a baby fist. Good guess. Because she, once again, 19-year-old model.
Yeah.
And
he's taking advantage of her.
They don't know how to stand up for themselves.
No, and it's not like the agents tell them, if that you don't like anything, just, leave. They tell them, there are millions of you. If you don't want to take it, someone else will.
Yes,
and you
exactly.
Want to get on the good side.
So this one's real gross, too. In 2010, he asked model Jamie Peck to remove her tampon so he could make tea with it. That's fucking gross. Gross. She said the encounter ended with her giving him a hand job while his assistants watched. I hate this guy. In 2012, she's 21. Scout Willis, also known as Rumor Willis, this is the daughter of Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, said that Richardson tried to finger her at a party. She tweeted all of this, by the way, and she said, I didn't let him, obviously, but I did let him photograph me topless in the bathroom. In 2014, a 19-year-old model named Charlotte Walter said that she was pressured into giving him a blowjob. It's just all so gross. And of course, he's a coward, right, when confronted. So in 2010, model Ray Rasmussen confronted him. So he's out like a publicity tour for a book he's putting out called Terry World. It's the grossest place on earth. Welcome to the grossest place on earth, Terry World. You think the teacup ride will make you sick? Go to Terry World. Blech. So he's on his fucking publicity tour for Terry World. It's filled with pictures of like naked underage girls performing sex acts, basically. And
so children you were talking about when we say underage?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Children. She confronts him. She says, you take girls who are young, you manipulate them to take their clothes off, and you take pictures of them, and then they'll be ashamed of these. They are too afraid to say no because their agency booked them on the job and are too young to stand up for themselves. Richardson ran away from her. Run away! And then he called her agent to complain about her behavior.
Oh, what a fucking douchebag.
He's a fucking douchebag. He always claims, by the way, that all of this is consensual, that he has done nothing wrong. And so his statement through his people is that he's an artist who is known for his sexually explicit work. So many of his professional interactions with subjects were sexual and explicit in nature, but all of the subjects participated consensually.
Every single goddamn one, sure.
Every single one. All these women are lying. Just, ugh. So in December 2012, Lady Gaga announced that she was filming a documentary about her life, and he was directing it. August 2013 is when he directed the Beyonce video. He did Wrecking Ball for Miley Cyrus. Like in late 2013, he kind of did some like prep work, I guess, for a music video called Do What You Want by Lady Gaga and R. Kelly.
Yes. Yeah, she did a double there. Double move.
Yeah, by the way, the video and that documentary thing, that never was released. It never happened. So I assume somebody told Lady Gaga the truth at that point, because now we're talking like 2014, and like his sexual assaults are like a badly kept secret in the industry. Once again, like all the women know, and like people in the fashion industry know, but it's not like public, and thanks to a story in the New York Times in 2017, all these sexual assault allegations surface, like they start coming out. And this is Me Too. Like Me Too is starting to be a thing. Women are finally speaking out. And it was after that he was finally banned from working with a lot of magazines like Vogue and Vanity Fair and GQ and Glamour. We're like, no thanks. We're not doing that anymore. But as recently as 2019, designers like Tom Ford were still defending him.
He's a shithead.
And saying, I love Terry.
I don't like him at all.
Yeah, fuck Tom Ford for this.
He's sleazy.
He said, I have to say that never in my entire life saw any of that with Terry.
Well, good for you.
One of my assistants went out with Terry for 2 years, and he was the kindest, gentlest person in the relationship. Yeah, well, I guess if Tom Ford didn't see it, then it didn't happen, right?
Exactly. Or if he dated one person, it didn't act like a...
Yeah.
Ted Bundy had girlfriends that he didn't murder.
Yes. OJ didn't kill me, so... By the way, have you seen the videos of OJ saying that overturning Roe v. Wade is wrong? We got fucking OJ standing up for women's rights now? Jesus Christ. Anyway. So Richardson has not denied his behavior, by the way. All of these things that people are saying, he's like, yeah, I did those things, but it was consensual. And no criminal charges have been filed, other than the one lawsuit that was settled discreetly, I guess would be a good word for it.
He's not in jail.
He's not in jail.
Jesus Christ.
No. Let's make that clear. He is not in jail. So in March 2016, Terry Richardson became a dad. His then girlfriend at the time, Alexandra Bullito, I'm trying real hard, y'all. I think I got it right. Who he once photographed, by the way, giving him a blowjob while she was sitting in a trash can. So romantic. That's how I met my first husband. They had twin boys.
I hope I beat the shit out of him. I'm sorry.
I hope that
elder abuse I would be okay with.
I hope they grow up and realize their dad's a fucking creep and just get the fuck away from him. Yeah. So really, since like the fall of 2017, he's been living pretty quiet in like Bearsville, New York. I guess his wife owns a wellness boutique in Woodstock, so they live nearby there. Terry's father, Bob Richardson, died in 2005, apparently of natural causes. And a few years later, Terry helped publish a book that included what remained of like his work, of his like photography work. But then in 2020, a secret memoir is floating around written by Bob Richardson. Like he wrote it himself, and it's called Wet Paint. And there's only one copy of the manuscript in existence, and a New York gallery owner has it. And they shared it with Artnet. They are in possession of it. They even showed them pictures from it. Apparently, it spills a lot of tea about Terry. A lot of not good stuff. And it's currently being shopped around to publishers. So we might have an update on this creep. Oh, my God. Can you, like, his dad is going to get back at him.
Pretty creepy on his own, let's just say.
Yes. He's such a creep that if he's calling out creepy behavior about his son in his book, it must be really fucking creepy. When even a creep is like, that's creepy. Oh my God. So that's floating around. And that's our creep, Terry Richardson.
Oh, God, Sonia. I remember when Lady Gaga did that song. By the way, I used to play that song in my classes. Do What You Want With My Body. And I remember somebody being like, are you listening to the words? Because it's got a good beat. And I was like, no, I never really do. And then I was like, it's a terrible song. And Lady Gaga was a victim of sexual assault. And she admits that, she was messed up. And she, working with R. Kelly was wrong. And working with Terry Richardson was wrong. And, trying to take ownership of something that happened to you and reframe it. But it came across all messed up. And
and since then she's done things where I think she did a song for the documentary The Hunting Ground, and she's been a very outspoken advocate for victims of sexual assault and things like that. So
I think
rad. Lady Gaga's pretty rad, and I think she's definitely tried to make amends. And Miley Cyrus, I would chalk that up to being pretty young and
high as fuck.
And high as fuck. I suspect that Miley Cyrus today would not make the same choices as Miley Cyrus in 2013, like doing things with Robin Thicke. You know?
No, she's interviewed on Howard Stern a lot. She has a beautiful voice.
Mm-hmm.
And
she absolutely does.
And she's talked about it and said, she was just going through a phase, rebellious, and and smoking too much weed and just making poor choices.
Yeah. Like we do when we're young. Yeah. I always feel bad for younger celebrities, people like Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears. We all make shitty choices when we're teenagers and in our 20s, and to do that on a worldwide scale where everybody can watch you make those huge fuck ups, that's awful.
And it used to be, it would show up in People magazine. It would show up in, something like that, or maybe the gossip columns.
Right.
With the internet, it made it so much worse. With the blogs and Perez Hilton and all, they were just glorifying, making fun of. These girls. They were just so young, and
it's awful.
Well, he was fucking gross, Sonia.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. That one's real gross. Take your showers.
Okay. Everyone take a Silkwood shower.
Come back for our Not a Creep.
Come back for the Not a Creep. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Are you ready for our non-creep this week?
So ready.
I've got a few minutes to tell it to you before I start a coughing binge.
I know.
Do you know who Dorothea Lange is?
The name is super familiar.
She's an American documentary photographer and photojournalist, and she is best known for her Depression-era work.
Yes.
For the Farm Security Administration. She was born Dorothy Margareta Nutzorn. She's from German parents in Hoboken, New Jersey. She had two things that happened to her that changed her life. One, she was born with polio and walked with a limp, and she always was self-conscious about it. I think I can relate to that.
Mm.
And the second thing that happened to her when she was young, she was in a very wealthy family, and then her father, just when she was 12, he left the family and didn't really leave an explanation. And so her mom moved the family from Hoboken to New York City, Lower East Side. And the Lower East Side in the early part of the 19th century was kind of rough. The Gilded Age, there's one part of New York City that's this way, and there's the other part where all the immigrants are. She was where all the immigrants were. And with her limp and being the only, she was German and with thousands of Jewish kids in a school with them. She just learned to be quiet and observe people. And that was sort of her go-to. When she was in high school, she took up photography, and her teachers encouraged her. And she took pictures of her whole family. Her mother threw them out because they took up too much room. Mothers do that sometimes.
Yes.
She goes to New York University and takes photography there, has a best friend in college, and they decide they're going to travel the world together. So they take a boat and they go to New Orleans. They spend all their money on drinking and boys. And
sounds awesome.
And they wind up in San Francisco broke. And they start.
Who doesn't?
Which sounds perfect to me.
That's how I ended up here and never left.
And it's like It's like, I'd say like 1925. It's a fun time to be alive. And San Francisco is full of very wealthy Jews. And she grew up wealthy for a while, and she grew up around a lot of Jews. So she mixed in right away and was able to make friends with people. And she found people to back her up to do a studio. And she did portraits for all the hoi polloi in San Francisco. She gets married, has a couple of kids. And then the Great Depression happens. And she's looking for new subjects. And she walks around the city, and there are people lining up for bread lines and lining up to try to get work. And she starts taking pictures of these. And she's outraged that people are hungry, that people are... And you could be very wealthy and have a conscience. Imagine that.
What?
So she is taking photos, and she's going into all these migrant communities. What happened in America during the Depression, there was this dust bowl in the middle of the country, and people that were called Okies, there were people from Oklahoma, but mainly like the Midwest, the square states, as Robert Evans says, came to America to look for jobs. There were already people there who had jobs like farming and shit like that. So there is already this competition for that kind of work. And then there were the men that owned the farms, and they wanted to pay people as little as possible. And back then, there was nobody to say they couldn't. And people started showing up, and there were these migrant communities, and people lived in hovels, barely tents. And there's no birth control. Women are having one kid after the other. Men are trying to get work, and they're competing with other men. They're competing with Mexican Americans that have been there for generations. And then so there's some racism going on. There's a hobo community, and there's some competition there to get work. And Dorothea Lange goes in and starts taking pictures of this. And once she starts doing this, there's a picture of a woman who was 32 years old, and she had a picture of her with her 2 daughters and a baby in her lap. And it's called Migrant Mother. And the woman's name was Florence Owens Thompson. 1936, she takes this picture and she takes it to the San Francisco Chronicle, let's just say. It's one of the San Francisco papers. And they get $200,000 in donations for the camp where this woman was.
Wow. That's a lot of money for then.
A shitload of money.
Yeah.
Because people were embarrassed, because people were starving to death in these camps. They had not enough food. The kids were like, killing birds to eat them. It was atrocious.
It's so awful.
So she's taking pictures of this as part of a government program. And it's to keep people motivated to stay interested, to come up with a better life, a community, a system that protects farmers but also protects workers. And then we go into World War II. And what happens in San Francisco is all the Japanese Americans are starting to be shipped up and sent to internment camp. Here in America, people who didn't commit crimes.
Yeah, it's so fucked up.
And
fucked up.
And she's taking pictures of this. And everybody knows who she is. She's famous at this point. And she's documenting all of this. And the government's not like letting all of her pictures out. So not everybody knows the whole story, but she still does it anyway. So let's fast forward to 1964, and she's 69 years old. And she has cancer. She has about a year to live, and she feels bad because she spent so much time on the road, didn't spend enough time with her family. She says to her family, okay, I only have this amount of time. I want to take portraits of all of you. And that's when MoMA found out, Museum of Modern Art in New York, and they said, hey, we hear you're dying. We'd like to do an exposition of your work, but we want to do it the way you want it done. If we can get your photos from the government, can we set something up? And they set it up. They worked together for a year, and there's photos she hadn't seen in decades.
Wow.
And she sets this whole thing up, and she's the first woman to have a show at MoMA.
Whoa!
She dies in 1965. Let me see. You can find all of her stuff in the government at the History Archives. If you go online, all of her stuff is there. She's in the National Women's Hall of Fame, an elementary school in Nipomo, California, near the site where she photographed the migrant worker. They named a school in her honor. She's in the California Hall of Fame. She's in the California Museum for History of Women and Arts. She has a permanent collection at MoMA. And she was an amazing person who had amazing empathy, but also had a gift and had a way to express things to people on an emotional level.
Yeah.
And that is our not creep this week.
Such an amazing pick. She hardly ever shoved her dick on someone's face.
She did beat them with a baby fist from time to time. I'm not going to lie. She wasn't perfect. Sorry about my nose, y'all.
You're fine. She sounds awesome. And I think some of the pictures you're describing are super famous because they it sounds very familiar to me.
Yeah, it's also in San Francisco, I'm sure. There's probably like there's a very famous shot I'm looking at right now. It's April 1942. And these little kids, these little Japanese American kids, they're American kids. They're pledging allegiance to the flag. They have little hands over their little hearts.
Yes.
And they're about to go to a camp 300 miles away. Their parents have to give up all their businesses. I mean, we'll do an episode about that one day.
Yes, we will. It's really fucked up. It's really, it's so fucked up. But and how crazy that she didn't there was no women in the Museum of Modern Art until like the 60s. That's insane.
They had painters and
but I mean,
they had, these people would have a show, but we're talking about, she had a retrospective.
Yeah.
She was a name.
Yeah.
And art is still difficult, for women to break into, but it was especially back then.
Yeah.
And she was just kind of a quiet person on her own, but she just sort of had this way about her that made people feel comfortable. And she would let the kids, like, she'd go to these camps and the kids would like start playing with her camera and she would just let them. You know what I mean? Like, most people are like, oh, you're going to smudge the lens or you're going to,
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And once she got them comfortable, then they would let her take the pictures. And
Yeah.
And this one picture she shows, and it looks like a father with his son, and she's talking to him. And as the pictures flow along, you realize he has 11 kids.
Oh, my God.
And
11 kids.
His wife looks pissed. Like, she was like, I want to go back to Oklahoma. And he's like, I fucked up, but we have to make it work here. By the way,
she's pissed because she had 11 fucking kids.
I mean, can you?
Damn.
All hungry, all living in one thing.
So awful.
The woman that she photographed that I mentioned before, hold on, let me just give you this update. Her name is, you could look it up, Florence Owens Thompson. She was on her third marriage. She was 32, had also 11 kids.
Damn.
Another one with 11 kids. She wound up in Modesto, working in a hospital. A guy that was a hospital administrator, they fall in love. Turns out he had a lot of money, and he loved her. They got married. They settled down, and they had a really nice life.
Happy ending.
Yeah, so she was a little resentful she never got paid, but this also, Dorothea Lange only got paid like government wages. I mean, she was a government job, but she was proud to be a part of a movement that was about supporting other people. And so her life ended fine. I mean, like she was really kind of on easy street at the end of her life. And I think if anybody deserves it, it's her.
Such a good pick, Margot.
Thank you.
Brad.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like being sick all week. I was just kind of like doing my little dives of photographers, and she's the one that like stuck out to me. Also, she got divorced, but then she remarried Dorothea Lange, and she married an economist from the University of California at Berkeley, and they were very happily married and lived in the Bay Area.
Nice. Yeah. That's rad.
And that's our show today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any ideas for creeps and non-creeps, use all those social media places to reach out to us.
Yes.
We love them. Use the Annie Potts GIF. We got one. Forgot to mention before I start coughing, we have an email, old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Send us your comments and suggestions there. If you're requesting stickers, please send us an email. Wherever you are in the world, I will get them out to you. If I haven't sent them to you and it's been a couple of months, send me another email with your address. I promise I'll get that out to you. Sometimes the mail just sucks.
Yes, true.
And that's just the way it is. But we're always very grateful for you for listening.
Yes.
Thank you, all of you that support us on Patreon. And look, if money's tight, just leave a review wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah. Tell a friend.
Tell a friend about the show. Put a sticker on your laptop. Go to the coffee shop. look cool.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, everybody, stay safe. Avoid baby fists.
Avoid, yes.
And
Just
don't
be a creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.